In 2024, FX and Hulu launched an ambitious series that adapted James Clavell's beloved historical novel, Shogun. This critically acclaimed series soon became a cultural phenomenon. The series was celebrated for its high quality storytelling and authenticity, and it was lauded for its historical accuracy, immersive world building, and nuanced storytelling. It took James Clavell's novel and infused it with deeper cultural and linguistic authenticity. Nearly half of the dialogue was in Japanese, making it feel more like a samurai drama than a typical westernized adaptation. Shogun heavily involved Japanese filmmakers and historians, giving it a level of respect and depth that resonated with audiences. It didn't just tell a story from a Western perspective, it balanced the viewpoints of both Lord Yoshi Toranaga, based on Tokugawa Ieyasu, and the stranded Englishman John Blackthorne, based on William Adams. The series had the cinematic quality of shows like Game of Thrones, The Last Kingdom, and Chernobyl. The production design, costuming, and cinematography were praised for their richness and attention to detail. The battle scenes, political intrigue, and character driven drama made it feel like a samurai Game of Thrones but with a historical basis. Hiroyuki Sanada as Lord Toranaga stole the show. His portrayal of the cunning and calculated leader made him one of the most compelling CD characters of the year. Anna Sawai as Mariko brought emotional depth to her role, and Cosmo Jarvis gave a strong performance as Blackthorne. Sanada in particular was widely recognized for bringing gravitas and authenticity to his role. There was a notable hunger for high-quality historical ethics, with audiences growing tired of generic fantasy and superhero fatigue setting in. Shogun arrived at the perfect time to fill a gap. The show also benefited from the renewed global interest in Japanese history and culture, as seen with recent successes like Ghost of Tsushima and Tokyo Vice. Unlike past Hollywood samurai films, this Shogun didn't center itself on the English outsider. Instead, Blackthorne was just one piece of a much larger Japanese political and cultural landscape. This approach resonated strongly with both Western and Japanese audiences. The show was universally praised, currently holding high scores on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. It generated discussion on social media, with fans dissecting historical details, performances, and the intricate storytelling. Shogun didn't just succeed because of nostalgia or brand recognition. It became a phenomenon because it was a masterfully crafted, gripping, and deeply respectful adaptation of an already beloved story. It set a new gold standard for historical dramas and might influence future adaptations of samurai-era storytelling. I read Shogun many years ago, and it remains one of my favorite novels set in feudal Japan. I knew about the 1980 TV miniseries adaptation starring Richard Chamberlain, but I never bothered watching it. The novel made such an impression on me that I doubted any adaptation could do it justice. I'm also the type of person who doesn't always watch a film or series based on a book I have loved. That's just how I am. However, as the second gold age of television took off, I started feeling differently about the potential for a Shogun adaptation. I imagine a network like HBO tackling all 6 books in Clavell's Asian Saga, turning them into a 6-season anthology series, with Shogun kicking things off with a 10 to 12 episode run. Anthology series with loosely connected seasons like True Detective, Fargo, The Sinner, and The White Lotus were resonating with audiences at the time. They seemed like the perfect solution to the fatigue viewers often felt when shows dragged on for too many seasons, delivering diminishing returns with each passing year. Shogun was originally conceived as a limited series, adapting the full novel. However, due to its massive success, a second season has been confirmed. But a second season would have to go beyond the book's ending, meaning the writers will need to create original material. Since Clavell never wrote a direct sequel to Shogun, any continuation will likely explore Blackthorne's fate, Toranaga's rise, and the shifting political landscape. While Shogun, set in 1600, is the earliest chronologically, it was first published in 1975. The rest of the books jump across different centuries, covering the rise of European trade, colonialism, and shifting power dynamics in Asia. Though the books could be read independently, they share thematic links, trading empires, cultural clashes, and characters connected across generations. Now, let's dive deep into the second novel in chronology, where Clavell shifts from feudal Japan to the cutthroat world of 19th century Hong Kong. Tai-Pan continues Clavell's exploration of East-West relations. Published in 1966, it was the second chronological novel in the Asian Saga. Taking place in 1841, it shifts focus from feudal Japan to the founding of British Hong Kong after the First Opium War. Though Tai-Pan doesn't directly follow Shogun, it shares thematic links. Both explore cultural clashes, leadership, and power struggles in politically unstable times. Tai-Pan was well received for its high-stakes drama and intricate plotting, establishing Clavell's signature style, historical storytelling with adventure and political intrigue. While Shogun overshadowed it in popularity, Tai-Pan cemented Clavell's reputation as a master of epic historical fiction. In 1986, Tai-Pan was adapted into a film starring Brian Brown, but the adaptation failed to capture the novel's depth. Critics cited uneven pacing and struggles to condense the story into a 2-hour runtime, leaving it less impactful than the Shogun miniseries. Now let's break down Tai-Pan's plot, themes, and historical context. The novel follows Dirk Struan, the ambitious leader of the Noble House, a powerful British trading company. Set in 1841 after the First Opium War, Struan navigates political rivalries and internal struggles to establish Hong Kong as a trade hub. Tai-Pan portrays the brutal realities of colonial trade, focusing on the opium trade and European merchants vying for control in the volatile region. Like Shogun, Tai-Pan examines cultural collision and strategic maneuvering. However, while Shogun centers on a European outsider in Japan, Tai-Pan explores a European in a dominant role in Asia, struggling to adapt to local rules. Struan's relationship with Mei Mei, his Chinese mistress, becomes central to the narrative, showcasing cross-cultural interaction. Tai-Pan also delves into the historical rise of Hong Kong. Clavell vividly depicts the tensions between European traders and Qing dynasty officials, blending historical accuracy with creative liberties to bring the early days of Hong Kong to life. Though not as widely recognized as Shogun, Tai-Pan remains a gripping tale of ambition, power, and survival. It introduces the Noble House dynasty, which plays a key role in future books like Noble House and Whirlwind. Next, we'll explore the third book in the saga, which takes us back to Japan, focusing on European traders clashing with the last remnants of the samurai class in the 19th century. Published in 1993, Gai-Jin is the third entry in Clavell's Asian Saga, taking place in 1862. The story shifts back to Japan at a time when the country is torn between its feudal past and a modernizing future. The title Gai-Jin, meaning foreigner or outsider, reflects the tension between European traders and the traditional samurai class. At the heart of the novel is Malcolm Sterling, the young heir to the Noble House. After being injured in Japan, Malcolm gets caught in political intrigue, romance, and power struggles between Western merchants, Japanese warlords, and rival trading companies. The story explores the complex relationship between Westerners and samurai, who see the foreigners as both a threat and an opportunity for modernization. Gai-Jin continues the story of the Struan trading empire, though Malcolm is less formidable than his ancestor Dirk Struan. Like Shogun, Gai-Jin depicts Japan during a time of great change, but this time the samurai are resisting foreign influence, marking the decline of the Tokugawa shogunate. By 1862, internal conflict and external pressure from Western powers forced Japan to open up after centuries of isolation, creating violent resistance from samurai who fear for their way of life. A key connection to Shogun is the subtle mention of John Blackthorne's descendants in Gai-Jin. Some of the Western characters are hinted to be distant relatives of Blackthorne, linking the fates of the past and present and adding a continuity to the saga. Gai-Jin received a more mixed reception than its predecessors. While Clavell's historical detail remains strong, some readers felt that the protagonist, Malcolm Struan, lacked the depth of characters like Dirk Struan or John Blackthorne. However, Gai-Jin remains essential in bridging the aggressive colonial expansion of Tai-Pan and the corporate struggles in later novels. It captures Japan at a turning point, caught between old traditions and an inevitable future. Next, we'll jump ahead nearly a century to Clavell's first published novel, shifting from political intrigue to the grim realities of World War II. Published in 1962, King Rat is Clavell's first novel, marking a departure from his later historical epics like Shogun and Tai-Pan. Set during World War II, the novel focuses on a different kind of power struggle, unfolding in a Japanese POW camp in Singapore. The story centers on the relationship between the British prisoners, forced to endure brutal conditions, and their Japanese captors. The central figure, the king, is an American con artist and gambler who manages to maintain a degree of privilege by manipulating both fellow prisoners and guards. His survival in such an oppressive environment becomes the novel's key theme: adaptability, resourcefulness, and human ingenuity in the face of extreme hardship. One of the most compelling aspects of King Rat is its semi-autobiographical nature. Clavell himself was a prisoner in a Japanese internment camp during the war, and his personal experiences heavily influenced the book's portrayal of captivity. The novel offers a realistic and harrowing insight into the psychological struggle for dignity and sanity in such dehumanizing conditions. Clavell considered King Rat a cathartic way to process his own trauma from the war, and it explores survival's psychological and moral ambiguities. At the time of publication, King Rat wasn't officially part of any Asian Saga, but it does lay the foundation for the series. The themes of survival, manipulation, and power dynamics introduced here would recur throughout Clavell's later works, particularly in the political and corporate environments of Tai-Pan and Noble House. While King Rat differs in setting and scope from the other books in the saga, its success set the stage for Clavell's future explorations of global power, colonialism, and human resilience. Next, we'll jump to 1960s Hong Kong, where the Shōgun dynasty faces the challenges of international finance, politics, and the modern business world. Noble House marks the fifth novel in Clavell's Asian Saga, and it's a dramatic shift from his earlier works. Set in 1960s Hong Kong, the novel immerses readers in political intrigue, high-stakes corporate maneuvering, and the shifting power dynamics between East and West. The story centers on the Shōgun family's continued dominance over the Noble House, a powerful trading conglomerate. The protagonist, Ian Dunross, the Tai-Pan of the Noble House, faces both external and internal threats to the company's power. Dunross navigates the volatile political landscape of Hong Kong, tensions with communist China, and rival factions vying for control of the city. Amidst all this, personal conflicts, love interests, and betrayals complicate the story. One of the biggest differences between Noble House and earlier books in the series is the shift to a more modern, fast-paced setting. Unlike the colonial-era Hong Kong of Tai-Pan, the 1960s Hong Kong of Noble House is an urban environment teetering on the edge of change, reflecting Clavell's evolving interest in how East-West dynamics shaped the modern world. In many ways, Noble House is a spiritual successor to Tai-Pan. It shows the culmination of the Shōgun family's legacy, where Ian Dunross must protect their power amid the complex post-colonial business world. The novel explores themes of survival through changing times, corporate empire building, and the rising influence of communist China. These themes connect back to the Shōgun family's earlier struggles, showcasing how their legacy adapts to a new global landscape. Noble House was adapted into a 1988 miniseries, starring Pierce Brosnan as Ian Dunross. While it was a hit and visually captured Hong Kong's vibrancy, the miniseries didn't fully capture the novel's depth and complexity. The novel, with its nuanced portrayal of power struggles between Western businesses and Chinese politics, is far richer in its exploration of those themes. The novel's themes of cultural clash, the pursuit of power, and generational survival tie it to the broader Asian saga, with a focus on the intricate global economy of the 1960s. Next, we'll look at the final book in the Asian Saga, which explores the turbulent events of the Armenian Revolution in the late 1970s, offering one last glimpse at Clavell's masterful exploration of history. Whirlwind takes James Clavell's Asian Saga to a new historical setting, focusing on the 1979 Iranian Revolution. The novel follows Western expatriates working for an American-owned helicopter company in Tehran as they become trapped in the chaos and political upheaval of the revolution. The protagonist's personal struggles mirror the larger political turmoil as they fight to survive in a rapidly deteriorating environment. Unlike Shogun or Tai-Pan, Whirlwind focuses on a more modern Cold War era setting, exploring the shift in geopolitical power as Western influences clash with revolution in the Middle East. The story critiques Western imperialism and examines the complexities of foreign intervention during periods of drastic political change. The characters must navigate not only the dangers of revolution, but also internal struggles of identity, loyalty, and morality. The novel's central theme is survival in the face of overwhelming odds. The power structures of the past are rapidly disintegrating, forcing the characters to adapt to new realities. This focus on survival and its shifting global dynamics continues themes from earlier Asian Saga books, but adds a unique lens on the transformation of the Middle East in the late 20th century. While Whirlwind is less universally beloved than Shogun or Tai-Pan, it provides a gripping look at a pivotal moment in history, resonating with readers as the world continues to grapple with issues of power, revolution, and cultural understanding. James Clavell's Asian Saga is one of the most ambitious and immersive historical fiction series ever written. While Shogun remains the most famous entry, each book explores different periods of history, showing the long and often brutal legacy of cultural exchange between East and West. With the success of FX and Hulu's Shogun, there is renewed interest in these books, and maybe even hope that more of them will get high-quality adaptations in the future. And while we wait for Shogun's second season, now is the perfect time to dive into the rest of Clavell's Asian Saga. So, which of these books have you read? Which one do you think should be adapted next? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into literature, history, and the stories that shape our world.